two Porsches rather, together on track. The one should easily pass the team car, ducks in and tries to get something of a toe at least. Couldn't do it there. Johnny Kane, by the way, the sandwich there, the Stracker. It's all about whether or not Toyota can exploit the advantage they gained here by double stinting those tyres. And we could be talking at the end of this race about an inspired decision there to do just that. It was the other way around, though, from what we were told earlier this afternoon. It was Toyota running the harder rubber, not the softer tyres. The other two teams running the softer compounds. This, by the way, it's 40, is that 44? Yeah. Sorry, that's 45. It's the second Manor car. This is the battle for fourth in LMP2.
That's Richard Bradley.
And Chris Cumming.
Who's gone the way of Richard. Toyota don't need to take any chances from now.
They don't need to consistent.
They don't need to double stint another set of tyres on that 5 car.
They just need to be consistent. And that's exactly what they're doing at the moment.
But if they did it with Kamui, because I don't think they've double stinted on the 6 car, I think they only double stinted on the 5. And that would give them a big advantage on the second. Toyota could still finish 1-2 here, Graham.
They could, without a shadow of a doubt they could. Meantime, the two quickest cars on the circuit, perhaps unsurprisingly last time around, were the recovering number 1 Porsche and 7 Audi. But still in amongst LMP2 traffic, and that wasn't until Kamui Kobayashi went through a 2:01.597, the quickest of the last laps for the LMP1 cars, as Kobayashi looks to mount some form of attack on Loic Duval, who's some way ahead. Still needs to unlap himself from that car. And he's not that far away from it on track. Gaggle of LMP2s, and we're going to see this throughout the season with a very healthy 11-car full-season entry, bolstered by the car that came into Les Combes at the head of that train of 4 cars, the 38 car here. It's the second place car. And closing in on James Jakes at the moment. So 26. G-Drive Racing. As we go into the third hour of the race. It's Jakes trying to fend off Nathaniel Berton, who's getting ever closer in his mirrors with the Stracker car in between.
So, loose bodywork on the Richard Bradley Oreca. It's the 45 car. The second of the Manor cars. So get a look at that. 77, the latest car to get the final warning. This is the Porsche of Richard Leeds. Final warning for track limits at the top of Radion. Well, what an extraordinary first couple of hours. Certainly first hour and 40 minutes. You should think forward to Le Mans, doesn't it? When, if we have P1s self-destructing like that, the year of the underdog in sporting triumphs with the Masters, and there's smoke now coming from the rear of one of the G-Drive cars. Yeah, over the top of the hill, left rear. Oh, goodness me, this is the 26 car. This is Nathaniel Berton, second place in class. And down the Kemmelston. Now, is this a rubbing tyre? Is it a tyre about to go? Is that engine smoke? Suspension looks down on that side, and I can hear it hitting the ground. And it's only when the car is at high speed. So, with the downforce pushing the car to the ground, is there an issue? Yes, there is. That looks like a puncture on the left rear. Puncture left rear. Oh.
And the car was tapped there from the rear, John, as it came into La Source by the 88 Porsche. That's what caused the puncture. Prototype driver was trying to duck around, the Porsche pulled in, and there was what looked like a very, very minor tap to the rear, but it's done enough to puncture that Dunlop and the team ready for the car.
Just hasn't quite got it home. Just hasn't quite got it home. Meantime, Andy Priaulx was behind the wheel, is behind the wheel of the 67 car. And he at the moment has got Richard Leeds for company. Has the latest issue.
He's just taken that position, John, I think.
No, I think Leeds.
Yes, he has. Yeah. Yep, took it through into La Source.
Yeah.
This is the car, of course, had the problem at the start of the race with Marino Franchitti getting together with Roeg Aguas.
Yeah.
43 car onto pit road for its latest stop. New set of Dunlops being bolted aboard. The Ligier that won last time out in Silverstone. That car pitting from 7th position in what's been a pretty hotly contested class. Black and white flag, meanwhile, the latest goes to the Labre Corvette for abuse of track limits at Radion. And that car now running 4th in the hands of Yutuka Yamagishi, and off circuit now for the 26 car, trying to make its way back into pit lane in the hands of Natalia Berton. Does so safely, with some damage beginning to come at the back of the car as it pulled in. Bodywork beginning to flake away.
Did a really good job there as well.
Just at the very end of that, what must have seemed a very long lap.
FSP would be said is the pedal power. That would be Flintstone power, or pedal electrical distribution, PED.
That was Natalia coming in a little bit hot into the final turn, but just keeping it safe. There you see the damage I was talking about there. Bodywork section just ripping away above the tyre. So we see the number 8 Audi making its way through GTM traffic. Loic Duval, 35 seconds back now, as the Toyota of Anthony Davidson is managing to pull away here. And Kobayashi making ground on the Audi ahead. Brendan Hartley, meanwhile, has pitted the number 1 car again. That seems rather early, John. That car was in the pits under full course yellow.
Yeah.
That car's not been out there very long.
So Brendan having problems again. Yeah, he came out on about lap 40 from memory, so he's only done about 11 laps.
I think it may be less than that. I think it's less than that. 78 now, the KCMG Porsche also getting the black and white flag. The warning, final warning for the abuse of track limits, this time at turn 17. That is Blanchimont, isn't it?
17, yes. 17's the way in, and it's normally the entry that is the issue rather than the exit, bizarrely now.
So far, it's been a tale of woes galore for multiple cars. Punctures, contact, hybrid woes. Messy,
debris on the track as well. A lot of people saying that they thought the 26 looked like it ran over something just after the start-finish line, including Simon Spooner.
26 was definitely hit from behind.
Right.
And I think it was rather 6.5 does the other, as the wheel-to-wheel now between the SMP car and the 43. Down the Kemmel Straight into Le Combe. Now as the car makes it through, it's Bruno Senna aboard that car. Ahead of David Markosov, who missed Silverstone, rejoins, or rather joins for the first time, what will now be a full season of WC racing with SMP. Cars make their way through that traffic.
Mike Wainwright doing an excellent job there, because that SMP wasn't really there, was it?
No.
and Mike started the turn, and again it's on the blind side of his car, and sometimes you just feel that there's something out to your blind side, not even see it or hear it, you just have the idea that something's there, and it causes you to take one last look in the mirror. Mike going offline there to make sure both cars got round the corner. I'm impressed with Mike Wainwright. He knows that it's him that will make the difference in that car. Brendan Hartley made it to the pit lane, by the way, but it's not resumed, so that means that Marcel Fessler has gone through to take 5th position in LMP1 hybrid, or 7th in LMP1, if you will. 8th in LMP1, rather. It's behind the CLM of Ollie Webb as well. They should come through the traffic, though.
Way too long in the pit lane for Brendan Hartley. He's come back in early. He's been in there for a while, so that's further trouble for the Porsche, number 1. So both Porsches are in trouble, I'm afraid, this afternoon. Both LMP1 cars, that is.
The 26 G drive back out the pits. Nathaniel Berton stays at the wheel. There's still no word, by the way, of any action for the 38 and the 95, Simon Dolan, and in the G drive, and the 95 of Nicky Team. Very, very unusual to see Simon involved in one of those. Graham's just going to go and get an update, I think, from Aston about the Nicky Team incident. We'll get that to you as quickly as possible. Here's the standings as of a moment or two ago. We are into the 3rd hour. Toyota, Audi and Toyota, with the Porsche number 2 hobbled and dropping back. Best of the LMP2s. James Jakes in the 44 Manor ahead of the 36 and the 45. In GT Pro, it's the 2 Ferraris from the Ford now in 3rd position. Fernando Reis must have taken another pit stop, has he? Yes, the 97 all of a sudden has dropped right down there. And in AM, Paul Dallalana has 53 seconds on Khaled Al-Kabezi. Big news from the last hour, the very nasty looking incident for the 95 car as we watch the continuing battles out on the circuit. Ferrari versus Porsche.
I can tell you that Nicky Team is absolutely fine. Just heard from the Aston Martin Racing team, and also answers the other question as to why we've not yet heard an answer on the investigation into the 38. That's because Nicky hasn't been to see the stewards yet. He's on his way there now to complete, I'm sure, that investigation. It's not been an additional pit stop for Fernando Reis in the 97, so whatever's happened, it's happened out on the circuit, John. So I think there's been an issue for that car somewhere, because it's dropped right back, hasn't it? It was running 3rd, strong 3rd. Has dropped back behind both Fords and the Rickard Leitz car. That car's lost a minute out the circuit somewhere. I've not seen that car with a puncture, I've not seen that car off circuit anywhere, so something must have gone awry there. Brendan Hartley, meanwhile, is still in the pits and has now fallen back behind the GT Pro leaders.
And there is the GT Pro leader. To put a lap on the Porsche. Jimmy Bruni back in the car he started. Snatched the lead from Sam Bird early on. The pole sitter, that's a KCMG car that he's going past at the moment. I accept that quite a lot of you are frustrated by the pace of the Ferraris and seeing just how much quicker their lap times appear to be. And they have to be pulled back before Le Mans. I would suggest that that's exactly what George Howard Chapel and Ford Performance are saying. George is the master of balance of performance, as in comes the 26 car again.
That's early as well. That's the car that's been in very recently for the rear bodywork.
Just one tyre.
One tyre.
So slow puncture on the left front then, the sensors will have told them that. Let's go back to the Ford-Ferrari battle. Quite clearly, it's very difficult to know from where we are and without having all the data who's trying and who isn't. If you're new to sports car racing, the races before Le Mans, whilst of course not an irrelevance, this is a championship of course, quite often you won't always see, particularly a newcomer like Ford, for whom this year at Le Mans, this year 2016 being the 50th anniversary of their historic Le Mans win, this year is the only year that Le Mans matters to them, and it matters more to them this year than next year. The last thing they want is to have any balance of performance adjustments before Le Mans, and I was reminded earlier on by one of our correspondents of the year that BMW with Augusto Farfus, who was mighty up the hill through Eau Rouge and Raidillon, was a good 10 kilometres an hour quicker than anybody else in the car, and that copped BMW a smaller restrictor for Le Mans that year.
Now we might be about to get another penalty here, John, because this is the first time I think I've seen for a little wee while at least. Car 50 reports to the stewards for abuse of track limits. That car has already had a black and white flag. So I think a penalty looms, I'm afraid, for the car that's currently in the hands of Yusuke Yamagishi. 50 car in 29th position overall and a podium position at the moment, provisional podium position, as the 88 car, sorry, the 77 car goes wide and off the track, the racing surface. That has allowed Fernando Reis to get by Richard Lietz. And as a mark of the progress of those Ferraris, both those cars, already the 77 car is going to lap down.
And news from the garage and from the Porsche team, a front gearbox change, so front axle gears change on Porsche number 1.
We did see a drivetrain, front axle drivetrain issue for the number 8 Audi in practice, but not seen that from the Porsche team before, so they really have not had a great day, have they? They still have the number 2 car running 4th position overall, but that car certainly has not got a fully functioning hybrid system and may well have, well, at least one of its systems completely non-operational. 206.5 last time around for the number 2 car.
And Louise has news from Chi Drive.
Yeah, they said they came in, they changed the puncture, but when they went back out, they were still losing pressure on the tyre, so that's why they came back in.
Well, it does seem to be one of those races where people are having repeat problems, doesn't it? It's not the first, second or third time we've seen it. Anthony Davidson, meanwhile, is edging away, not maybe much last time. A few tenths down on Duval. Car 77, Richard Lietz's car, is another car that's going to be in trouble. Also reported to the stewards for abuse of track limits. So
they are going to lose their patience and someone's going to get parked for 3 days, aren't they?
Parked until the Nürburgring.
Yes, leave it there. You're going to miss Le Mans.
Yeah.
You've been a very naughty boy. Left-hand side door open on the 37 now. Well, they've had a horrible race, haven't they?
They have. 2 issues not of their own making.
They will be cursing in languages none of us can understand.
Absolutely.
Viktor Shaitar and Vitaly Petrov. Chi Drive has already been in that car. No hint of a lift through Raidillon there, is there? Up the hill from the bottom of Eau Rouge for the number 5 of Anthony Davison. Tom Kreiheimer 309 through the traps.
Almost 310, 309.9. Very slippery thing indeed. The pretty Rebellion R1.
That's not exactly VMAX though.
No.
The Audis were pulling 314, 315. So how quick is that?
Well, I think that is certainly a time that will have been assisted by a bit of a tow.
Well, you say that.
Well,
There is
the 37.
37. Oh dear.
It does look like it's on the catch. It has got kind of ventilation in that door, but I think they're right. I think you can see the whole trailing edge of that left-hand door. Yes.
I think it's fastened at the bottom, but not at the top.
The top part of the door, part of that is meant to be a gap.
Correct.
But not all of it. It's Sergei Zlobin there in the ASMP garage. Title winner here a couple of years ago when this team were running the open-top Orekas. Sergei now operates in the more commercial side of the team. All four off, I'm afraid, there for the 37. And all of a sudden, John, this race is looking very good indeed for Manor. 1-3 at the moment. It's an Oreca chassis, 1, 2, 3, 4, in fact, because it's the two Manor cars and the two Alpines in the top 4 positions. Manor 44 leads 36 Alpine.
Keep an eye on Johnny Kane as well, because he's catching Chris Cumming for 5th position very quickly.
Marcel, brakes okay or not?
Similar, still safe. I'll keep you updated. Mode in 10 minutes.
Copy, I will.
So clearly there's some concerns about the brakings.
Yeah.
And this is Marcel Fessler about to take one of his laps back from the number 2 Porsche. Dumas running in 4th position over in the Hubble 2 car. Marcel Fessler 11th overall, and laps down, courtesy of that earlier pit stop on Dumas. In fact, 3 laps down.
And Graham, the judges of fact and the stewards have lost their patience now with the number 50, the Corvette. And Yamagishi will have to come through for a drive-through, as will Ricard Leitz in the Porsche. That is now 41 stewards' decisions that we've had this weekend. Someone's just made the comparison between a bingo hall and Ben Constantinos, who's here to do some interviews in the press room behind us and to read out warnings and penalties. He's just basically there with a stream of numbers.
Ticker, basically a ticker.
Now serving penalty on number 54.
Do you think they're on piecework up there?
Yeah. No peace for them, I tell you that.
45 seconds now, the gap between the leading Toyota and Loic Duval, trying still to chase hard, but increasingly losing that battle. 2 minutes, .445 last time around from an ebullient Anthony Davidson. Won't they be loving being back in the hunt?
Oh, yeah.
Loic Duval in the number 8 car, 205, 246 in traffic. And how much of a part, John, are these two rebellions going to play? As Marcel Fessler, meanwhile, still going quickly, looking for the way past and to get that lap back from Romain Dumas, then we'll set about taking another one back.
And he's only a second behind Ollie Webb, and that is a battle for position on track for 10th overall. And in fact, as I say that, there is the pass already been made.
And in fact, I think that's the 6, is that the, I can't believe it must be the 5 car coming to put another lap on Dumas. Also, in the background here, behind the number 2 and the CLM, there is a Toyota about to come into view now. There he goes.
Is that the leader then?
That must be the leader.
Correct.
That is, has that kind of body language that an Anthony Davidson pedal car normally displays. Here it comes, it's a 6 car actually. Oh, is it a 6 car? It's not Ant Davidson. Kamui Kobayashi about to put a lap.
Oh, to the left, to the right. Loic Duval down the Camel Straight. Just run a little bit wide on Lecombe there. Into the pits from 2nd position in class. The last to stop is Francois Perraudot. Bit off schedule, that car. It's its 4th pit stop against only 2 for the Aston Martin.
Yamagishi comes now to take the drive-through.
Yeah. Matthias Lauda now behind the wheel of the leading Aston in the AM class. And that is leading the AM class, the number 98 car.
Driver change, it is Yamagishi, and it's a pit stop under investigation for the 2nd place car in GT Pro. The number 71 AF Corsa car under investigation. That's Benno Collard aboard the 83 now. This is going to be another great result for this team. Flying for the flag for all those who love high-revving Ferrari V8s without the turbos. Well, we had some surprise results during and after the race at Silverstone. We're already getting back into that territory here. Marcel Fessler, meanwhile, is picking his way through the LMP2s now, back up into the top 10 in the number 7 car. Lapping very quickly. He's now some, what is he? He's 2 laps down on the remainder of the relatively undelayed LMP1 field. But 3.5 hours remain in this 6 hours of Spa-Francorchamps. '78 KCMG Porsche there with the number 4 CLM, the Bicolors car ahead. Those cars running 11th in the case of Ollie Webb aboard the 4 car. And now 3rd in class for Christian Ried, courtesy of that pit stop penalty. Or rather, the track limits penalty, wasn't it, for Yamagishi in the Corvette. So it's now Aston Martin for Porsche and Porsche, 98, 88, 78, all the 8s. Back to bingo again. Then the 50, then the 83.
Can I call house on the line?
You could.
Yeah, it has been a bit like that. Good to see Tim Mayer, one of the panel of permanent FIA stewards, doing 5 Formula 1 races this year, as well as a couple of the Endurance Championship races.
Should mention that he's doing those Formula 1 races as a steward and not as a latest signing for Red Bull.
Well, yes.
You never know.
Could have, yeah. If anybody thinks they recognise the name, the Mayer, Teddy Mayer was Tim's dad, who ran McLaren, of course, and Tim himself, one of the higher-ups in the American Le Mans series throughout its early years, and a very wise head indeed, and has been a full-time FIA steward, I think, for a couple of seasons now. Pipo Derani did a pretty good job earlier on for Extreme Speed Motorsports. Had a good start to the year, winning Daytona and Sebring. He's with Louise Beckett in the pits.
Well, Pipo, you're keeping an eye on the battle on track now, but you had a fair battle out there as well with Panziatisi, for sure.
Yeah, it was a difficult beginning of the race for us, making sure that we had a good tires to make a triple stint. We managed to do that. Unfortunately, in the second lap, we had a contact with Panziatisi, and I think it was a little bit unfortunate, but it's racing, and hopefully we can do a good race up until the end. It hasn't been so easy for us, for the Ligier, but hopefully we can bring good points for the championship back home.
Thank you.
Pipo Derani, one of the emerging stars of the World Endurance Championship and of endurance racing. Brazilian driver, having helped Skinner Patron ESM to back-to-back wins in Florida before the WEC season started at both Daytona and at Sebring. And this is the lead car in LMP2. James Jakes was at the wheel of this car when it came in for this pit stop. 7th position overall now for the LMP2 leader, as the lead in LMP1 privateer Dom Kraheimer puts in the fastest lap of that car's race, takes another 4 seconds out of Romain Dumas ahead, last time around, 4.5 seconds in fact. Being told, with thanks and with apologies for not being able to cross-refer to who sent it by someone on Twitter, 97 was the only one of the lead GTA Pro cars that didn't stop under full course yellow. Thank you very much indeed for that. We've got some Wi-Fi problems, which means we're only getting a limited service here on Twitter.
We're getting burst Twitterage. This is a big call, Graham. 27, which is the SMP car, but more importantly at the front of the race, the number 8 car. That's Loic Duval, 2nd position at the moment, under investigation for speeding under full course yellow.
Yes. Now, how much further back. And is this a slow Aston Martin? Yes, it is.
That looks like another left rear
It's a
puncture.
97 car.
Now this is the car that we were just talking about, Fernando Reis. Now, is he having a problem with the left rear of that car? It didn't look particularly
Well, the Porsches
happy.
went by very quickly. He didn't seem to lose an awful lot of ground in the latter part of the Camel Straight, did he? There was just a bit of a fumble and recovery. Dom Krymer, meanwhile, puts him at another 204. I wonder if he just had a bit of a moment, Radion.
It would take you a wee while to recover from that, wouldn't it?
I'd need a lie down in a darkened room.
And that's only if you walk a bit.
Absolutely.
So we are coming round to just on 3 hours and 30 minutes still to go. It's been a race of incident and accident. Just to reiterate, Nicky Team out of the number 95 Aston Martin, which flipped over, having had contact from the car 38, which now is getting a 2-minute stop and hold penalty, causing a collision.
Well, that, I'm afraid, is going to ruin what had been almost completely. Here we see it again. That's Simon Dolan looking at the inside where there was no room, I'm afraid.
Nice
And
save
that-
by Simon, in fairness.
That led to dramatic consequences for the 95. Mercifully, Nicky Team walking away from that roll unharmed. But Simon Dolan will rue that, I'm afraid, and that's going to cost them their unsullied reputation in this race, having never finished off the podium in the 6 Hours of Spa.
It's just a bad decision. Again, let's make the point. This is not a malicious move by Simon. It's a bad decision. No intent there at all. 97 now, getting called for... he went across the inside of the run up the hill. 97 must respect track limits at turn 4 interior.
Right.
So he'd had a bit of a whoopsie going up the hill from Eau Rouge to Radion. And that's why he was slow over the top.
Now, how much longer before we start to get to the stage where we can start to talk about Kobayashi and lapping himself from Duval? It's not going to be... It's taking time out of him, sector by sector.
It's about... well, I'll tell you in a second. He's over 30 seconds behind him, Graham, still. In terms of being on the track.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's over a lap, but to get back onto that lap, let's have a quick look so we can time the sectors next time around.
Well, you've got Kobayashi about to come to the line now. In fact, he's just gone through.
He has. Meantime,
so Duval will go through the end of the second sector about
2:03 last time. It's there now. He goes through, so he's just gone through the second sector.
He's just
now.
over a minute ahead, I reckon. Sorry, just over 30 seconds ahead is what I should have stuck with what I said.
I think I agree with you.
So coming under the 3.5 hours mark, 16 seconds perhaps.
Yep.
Graham's suggesting it might be as little as.
And it's 2 seconds a lap quicker at the moment.
Andy Davison leads then for Toyota with Audi in the shape of Loic Duval in second place. Those are the only 2 cars on the lead lap. Wait for a very unhappy Simon Dolan, I'm sure, to come into the pit lane. In fact, he's in.
And out.
And yeah, didn't do the stop-go there. That was a pit stop first.
Right.
So they've done the pit stop. What they haven't done is his 2-minute stop and go penalty. That was only 54 seconds in the pit lane.
It's fuel only.
What they've done is splashed him, then they'll bring him in. Now, time in the pit lane.
Can't change the driver during a penalty.
No, you can't. I'm trying to work out whether they're being clever here. I thought time in the pit lane didn't count towards your driving time. If he comes in next time and soaks up the 2-minute penalty, and then goes out and then gets out the car, that 2 minutes won't be part of his driving time. If he continues afterwards and continues to drive, then it will, is what I reckon. I'm going to consult the Trustwell on this one, I think.
There we've got Marcel Fessler on the road now ahead of the leader. That's Marcel Fessler, not messing about here. He's not in any hurry to let the leader through here. The ESM car pulls off to the left, lets the car go by. Fessler in a hurry here. Up to 7th position now with the recovering number 7 Audi. Car 50 is reported again to the stewards. This is going to be a stop and lengthy hold.
Remember what I said?
Absolutely right.
This is the one where the stewards, they're putting everybody on notice for Le Mans.
Absolutely, 100%, John.
And someone's going to get parked for 5 minutes in this race for something. And they are going to be put on their best behaviour for Le Mans. I expect exactly the same thing in Imola for
ELMS.
the ELMS next week.
And bearing in mind where we know the risks are at Le Mans, who's to say that's wrong?
No, I'm not. I think it's absolutely right. Eduardo Freitas is, we were having this discussion driving out on the circuit, weren't we? He is a race director who cares very deeply for the drivers in his charge, and he sees it in those terms.
He does, he sees it very much as his responsibility.
He doesn't see it as an us and them, he sees it as a team where it's his responsibility to save the drivers from themselves. And very much his mantra is that the racing circuit and the safety facilities and considerations around the circuit are built and improved, taking into account the fact that the cars are on the racetrack in the right places. And if people extend the racetrack, then they are potentially negating some of the effects of the safety around the circuit. And that is something that he does not like at all.
Meantime, it's an interesting duel. This is the recovering number 7 Audi in the hands of Marcel Fessler. The first of 2 cars on the road here, but laps down to the race leader, which is the car we're on board with now, the number 5 car. This in the hands of Anthony Davidson. Davidson looking to get by, will do so now. Fessler, my guess, will stick right with him. Fessler looking to make up ground on the cars ahead. And the next 2 targets for him are the 2 Rebellions. He's still got a lap to make up on both of them, and he's in a hurry to do so. Davidson, though, in a hurry to get down the road, already 52 seconds up on Loic Duval, who is being caught by Kamui Kobayashi, and being caught reasonably quickly. Another 2 seconds taken out of Duval last time around by the number 6 Toyota. Toyota here, John, sniff every possibility as Simon Dolan is in, and we think taking that 2-minute stop now.
Yeah, and I think he can't get out, so let's have a look. 2:29.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I think Toyota sniff a possibility here of a 1-2.
So Simon Dolan's 2:29 and his 54 seconds last time will not count towards his driving time.
Which then means maximum attack from the pro drivers. Seen Jake Dennis, have we yet aboard that car? Make his sports car racing debut. And there's the opportunity here to impress with pace. On board now the number 8 car, held up again here in traffic. That's by the number 66 car, that is Billy Johnson. The Audi goes by. The American driver. He's got Andy Brio just 30 seconds behind in the sister Ford. So Ant Davidson in the 201s now, freed up from the number 7. Duval 204, Kobayashi 202. Fastest lap of the race, Brendan Hartley still on lap 3, 58.4.
doubt we'll see anything near that in the last 3.5 hours of the race. Cloud has blown across again. It's been 2.5 years since I've been to a race meeting and it hasn't rained at some stage over the weekend. As into the pit lane comes the third place car. Kobayashi will not then. Well, Duval got in just before him, so now if they double the tyres on Kobayashi's car, he'll leapfrog Duval.
Yep.
Simple as that.
It could well be that that's exactly the call they're going to make, which puts him onto the same lap as the car, not leapfrogging for position, but leapfrogging to get on the same lap.
In terms of coming out of the pit lane before him, yes.
But that then starts to make it very interesting.
I think Audi are not going to change the Michelin tyres on that number 8 car. Duval has stayed in. Kobayashi's stayed in. There's a new set of Michelin rubber for the Toyota. And Audi make a liar of me by doing it on the far side of us first of all.
No, tyres for the Toyota as well.
Yeah, as you were then, and it's brand new, unscrubbed Michelin rubber for both of them.
It is indeed.
$56,000 people here. A very believable, I think we would say, Graham, 56,000.
Now, I'm here to tell you, I think that they took time out of the Audi in that stop. We'll see it soon enough.
Duval 121, Kobayashi 190. Yes,
for the 2 seconds, not enough. The lead is in the pits too. So once again, WEC making friends and influencing people.
Absolutely right.
Into comes the 4th place car, Romain Dumas, the number 2 car. And what happened here?
I think there was a touch there on the back of the Ferrari. Well, that is a hamstrung Romain Dumas, or at least a hamstrung number 2, just coming into the pits actually now.
Impressed with the way they've gone about this, the number 2 crew. It must be frustrating.
Well,
they are professional drivers.
But in some ways, Graham, this is the best outcome for them because other people have had problems, albeit their team car. But this is the car that, the number 2 car, is the car that leads the championship. And at the moment, they're on for a decent finish. Actually, Vesler's got enough time to catch them and make up the 3 laps before the end of the race.
So the good news here, of course, is for Toyota, already leading the World Championship, and it's the Manufacturers' Championship they want from the WEC, as well as race wins, of course. Came here with 33 points to Porsche's 25, and looks set to extend that lead very dramatically indeed, if things stay the way they do.
As all of the top 3 now are on an out lap. Oh, no, hang on a second.
All top 4.
Yeah, it's a long out lap here, isn't it? Of course,
that's why.
1:16 for the number 2 Porsche. That included tyres. That's a very quick stopping time.
Sorry, 1:18. It's on your screen there, but it's 1:18.
It's still the fastest of the top 4.
It is. Takes a second out of Kobayashi, 3 seconds out of the top 2.
Duval and Kobayashi barely a couple of seconds apart on the track, but a lap apart in terms of the timing screen.
So 3 hours 18 minutes remain. It's the number 5 Toyota still leads from Loic Duval's number 8 Audi. Kamui Kobayashi still aboard the number 6 Toyota, trying to take time out of the Audi and get back onto that lead lap, is in 3rd position, and Mark Lieb in the hobbled, or the less hobbled, but still hobbled, Porsche, number 2, running in 4th, John.
I'm indebted to Mark Harrison for these Spa attendances. 2012, 28,000, 2013, 40,000, 14, 46,000, 15, 54,000, 16, 56,000.
That's exactly what this is designed to do. Thank you, Mark.
Data equity is something that I talk about a lot.
You do.
And, you know, everybody knows it's going to be Spa before Le Mans.
It's not
We're
about
a little bit earlier this year than normally.
We need to explain that data equity is not investing in a good night out.
Yeah.
It's about having the same races in the same places at the same time of the year and building friends, and that's exactly what we're seeing. I think we're going to see a lot of social media traffic from not just from Belgium, but from the Netherlands, from France, from the UK, because I think we've got a real international crowd here, John.
Well, this normally is the weekend that the Ascension Day weekend is normally, it is literally a movable feast, because obviously it's dependent on Easter, which itself is a movable feast. Ascension Day used to be the weekend that you had the Monaco Grand Prix, which is also the weekend you had the Indy 500, and latterly the Nürburgring 24 hours. But because it's so early in the year this year, that's not quite worked out. But what it has done here is given the public in the Low Countries and in the region of Belgium and Germany here the opportunity to come over for a weekend, as Marcel Fessler comes in from 7th position into the pit lane for a standard stop. That's right on time. Piece of rubber under tray on the circuit. Was that a piece of unravelled tyre?
I'm not sure. Couldn't really see the scale of that, could we, from that shot? We'll see in a moment, I'm sure, where that is on the track, as the number 7 car goes about the full service that's going to receive. Fuel still going aboard. The very different looking car, isn't it, now, with that?
Hugely different, with that revised front wing profile.
So,
and a new set of tyres.
So 60.
Oh, it's going in the box. It's going in the box. This is the 7 Audi in the box. Louise is down there. What do you know, Louise?
I don't know anything at the moment. I've just walked over and saw it going on the dollies here. I'll find out.
Well, further drama. So Porsche in the box for the second time with the number 1 car, and it's been there for a long, long time now.
Still getting its front gearbox change, remember?
Absolutely. 7 car now back into the garage for the second time. Ahead of these 2 cars, the number 2 Porsche is in hybrid trouble, non-functioning hybrid system on the number 2 car. We don't know which one of the systems, or whether or not it's any of them or all of them. And then ahead of that, we've got the number 6 Toyota that's lost a lap after a collision, I'm afraid, of its own making, requiring a front end change, a nose change on the number 6 car. That car trying to fight its way back onto, well, the same lap as the second place car ahead of it. So in terms of, well, the relatively undelayed cars, it's the number 5 Toyota. Pretty faultless run so far from the number 5, ahead of, and increasingly further ahead of the number 8 Audi. Loic Duval now a minute back from Toyota. Who could have predicted this one before this race? This, of course, is where the teamwork comes in. Lena Kate there, looking on. It has to be said fairly anxiously. Lena in her penultimate race, of course, at Audi Sports. Let's have a listen in to what's going on between Lena. So the team go to work.
And more listeners, we have a temperature problem.
Temperature problem.
Now, do we think that's a brake temperature problem, an engine problem? They're working around the front end.
Well, when they had the problem earlier, there was this issue around brake temp.
Correct.
So is it a recurring issue? Have they got an inherent problem with that car?
It was a piece of chicken wire meshing that we saw on the track.
So what, for the front grille of a GT car?
Of something, yes. Thomas Fellow could see it better than us. And Matt Guest says, can you tell the TV truck to stop speeding up the onboards of the Toyota 3-wheel Rouge?
If
it
only
doesn't
they
look
were.
real, does it?
If only they were. Bit of a spin there, a recovery from Mike Wainwright. Happily did not collect the closely following Emmanuel Collard, who's running 3rd in GTE AM. They are quick through there, aren't they? So Toyota Audi Toyota is the order in P1, and P2 it is a Manor 1-3. James Jakes leads in the 44 car from Stefan McElmy in the number 36 Alpine, from Richard Bradley in the 45 Manor car. So again, it's Orica Alpine.
Then it's Ho Ping Tung in 4th position, and then this battle, Chris Cumming with Bruno Senna closing in on the ESM number 31 car. and they are battling for 5th and 6th position.
Now in GTE, it's still the two Ferraris. It's Jimmy Bruni and Sam Bird. We're waiting to find out whether or not there's any penalty for the issue that was reported at the pit stop for Sam Bird's car, the 71 car.
I think they're catching up.
Yep, 51 from 71. Billy Johnson has just pitted the number 66 Ford from 3rd. We are going to go to full course yellow in about 30 seconds time for the debris in turn 4 and 5. So we're going to have the second full course yellow of this race. That will be of some help to the stricken 7 Audi. Eduardo Freitas tells us 20 seconds to go. It's going to be 10 at the moment.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Full course yellow. Full course yellow. I need to remove debris at 3 places on the track. This should be for 1 lap. Keep right between T4 and T5. Stay right between T4 and T5.
There you go.
I will offer a slightly guarded opinion. That took a little while for Anthony Davidson to slow down to full course yellow.
They'll be watching. And everybody's been watching.
From the apex of the bus stop until the start-finish line.
Full course yellow flashing in the distance. It'll be on the flag in the clap system as well, Graham.
Right, and note just passed me by Ben Constantiouris, having spoken to Seb Buemi in the press room behind us. The double stint didn't really work, it seemed to from here, but that was mainly because other people were having problems.
Well, I did say that at the time.
He said maybe okay much later. We're expecting quite a dramatic downturn in the temperature towards the end of the race, John.
10 to 15 degrees Celsius,
It's
yes.
not just the tyre giving them the advantage. The car has got good downforce at the middle of the lap, and that's where Toyota are taking advantage. We saw that, of course, a couple of times when the cars were in close contention. Out comes the 7, which, as I say, the damage to that car's effort is restricted a little at least by the full course yellow. Lost less time as a result of that.
Pit stop under investigation for the LMP2 BR01 Maurizio Mediani, the 27 car.
So still, crowd enjoying a beautifully sunny day here in the Ardennes. There is no better place to come and watch a motor race than Spa-Francorchamps. Around the world, the cars still circulating under full course yellow conditions. That's why we're seeing the cars at this slow speed. It's number 5 car, the leader, and Davidson on the limiter. With a substantial margin now over the challenging Loic Duval. Let's see what's happening down at Audi with Andre Lotterer of the number 7 car. And he's down in the pits with Louise.
Okay, Andre, it's not going your way today. We've heard Lena saying temperature issues, but where were those temperature issues?
Well, it seems like we picked up a huge piece of rubber and we had to clean out the ducts because it's a hot day today and we couldn't afford to drive longer with this issue, so it took some time, unfortunately.
What's Marcel going to do now?
Well, you know, we just try to take it home, you know. A lot of things are happening in this race for all cars. So it's a crazy 6-hour race. We knew it was not going to be difficult, and at one stage was looking not too bad, second and third, but then we start to get issues. And yeah, it's like that sometimes. Character building race.
Thanks.
Well, it's all going to be about points, of course, and they can be looking to get that car, well, best at the moment it looks like he'll do on pace, John, is 5th, but that will be useful points, and particularly useful points against Porsche, because the number 1 car still in the midst of that gearbox change, that front gearbox change for the number 1 car, sitting in 33rd position and still in the garage, as has been for some long time now. But this is about manufacturers' points at this stage. That's what it's all about. It's exactly why the number 2 Porsche, for the very early stage of the race, is still lapping, despite having a problem with a hybrid system. So this is where endurance really comes into it for these teams. They know now that unless something utterly dramatic happens, the win is beyond them. Finishing matters, points matter more. It's the rumble of the number 50 Corvette, car that's already had a drive-through penalty for track limits and has since then had a black and white flag, and I think we're going to see a further penalty for this car coming, and a substantial one. And I think what I'd say about the interview we just heard from Lou with Andre Lotre, we have seen large pieces of rubber causing problems before, but I'm surprised.
15 seconds to go green. Under 15 seconds to go green. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Green. Track is back to green.
So we're back to green flag running.
Back to green.
What surprises me, John, is if it was rubber in a duct, that took a long time to do it. That would indicate that they've got a serviceability issue, which is not the Audi way. One of the first things I think everybody learns from the way Audi have gone racing is that every one of these predictable issues, and we know that this is a high-deck track, we therefore know there's a lot of rubber on the track during the race. We know where that rubber tends to collect, and I'm surprised that car needed that level of intervention from the team. Anthony Davidson then goes away with 3 hours and 5 minutes. We're 5.5 minutes now from the halfway point of the 6 hours of Spa for 2016. And it's going to be a minute or more, the gap. Across the line comes the number 8 car. This is the second position car. It won't be this lap we see the true gap, of course.
A lot of people asking how long does it take to change a gearbox. It's a front gearbox, yes, on the Porsche. You can't change
the actual
gearbox. You can change the internals, but you can't change the casing of the gearbox.
We can now see, by the way, the visual gap between the 2 cars. Both the first 2 cars in the GT Pro car class are both on pit road, and I think back out again. Kamui Kobayashi, there you are, that's the gap. Now that's not for position, John, that's for Kobayashi to unlap himself from Loic Duval.
So he's just over 7 kilometres behind.
Correct.
He's 7 kilometres and that gap behind the car that's in front of him.
And this is
the way to think of it.
An unhobbled but delayed Toyota after requiring a replacement nose. Mike Conway having a misunderstanding with his braking points and the 37 SMP racing car, correctly penalised for that, and that car's had a nose change and a drive-through, so he's fighting back from that. The number 8 Audi is the target, and this is the number 2 Porsche running 4th, but with hybrid problems for that car. Mark Lieb aboard the car.
First time you've seen him driving in specs?
No, I've seen Mark with the spectacles before. Looks very studious in them.
He has got his degree now, hasn't he?
He has indeed.
Decided not to stay on for his PhD, much to the chagrin of at least one of his teammates. Romain Dumas was hoping he would complete his PhD so he could then be a doctor, because then of course he would be Dr. Lieb, which is
Dr. Love.
That's right. Good camaraderie in that team.
Yes, I'm sure there's no Mickey taking whatsoever goes on, and I'm sure Brendan Hartley after Silverstone didn't get any leg pulling whatsoever.
Actually, I'm sure he didn't there. I'm sure what he got was a lot of support and bad luck, mate. And then could have happened to any of us.
And then some leg pulling. Oh, yes.
Just a reminder, we'd only mentioned the lap before of him being somewhat chided by the pits for losing time in traffic.
Indeed. Push, push, push was the...
Yes, I am, he says. I am.
66 seconds is the gap now. And Davidson is pushing hard here to make up as much of an advantage as possible. And I think, John, the target for Anthony Davidson here looks like putting a lap on the Audi